pod bay doors, please, Hal.
The pod bay doors are open on our special Mandalorian mini log. I am your host, Jerry Dean Roberts of ArmchairCinema.com and OverThinkingOscars.wordpress.com. Here with my co-host, who might be just as perplexed as I am, Mr. Doug Heller. How'd that card today, sir?
Where's your master?
We're talking about episode, was it 15?
Yeah, episode, well, no, I know it's
Chapter 15.
Yeah, the 5th episode of the second season of The Mandalorian. Where we get, it's chapter 13.
Chapter 13, yes.
Where we finally see...
And this is a big one.
Yes. This is maybe the biggest one.
Well, I considered the last one to be sort of the mid-season ender.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 8 episodes, and the last one's the 4th episode. So this is the season. This is the
mid-season.
This is the second half.
Yeah, the mid-season premiere. And holy smokes,
this is a big one.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot revealed here.
Mm-hmm. We find out a lot about the child.
Mm. What I so appreciate is that when you get here, you are effectively rewarded for your patience over the past year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it kind of lands here. Everything that's been building, you kind of land here. It answers a lot of questions, but at the same time answers almost nothing.
Right, it gives you information that leads you in the direction of an answer, but it doesn't actually give you the answer just yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So why don't you say what this one? I'm gonna jump right into some things, and I don't want to do that. So why don't you kick us off here?
Effectively, he finally gets where he's going, which is this. Was it Caledon? This small city. He finally gets to this small city that's in trouble, which is really interesting too, because it's this sort of Asian influenced city.
This is so much a samurai movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and not like a Kurosawa Ronin kind of situation.
Mm.
This is like a samurai rebellion kind of. This is the final battle in this is just awesome.
The first battle in this is awesome.
Yeah. All of the.
This is the only one that This is the only one of these episodes I think that has a cold open without the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because they waste no time.
No, they get right into Ahsoka cutting up the magistrate's guards.
Right.
Looking for information, and I assumed that she was looking for Gideon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of the Darksaber, but when we find out who she's really looking for, that opens up. I wonder if this wasn't a backdoor pilot for an Ahsoka Tano series.
I was thinking that too. Because also she is. When you look at the beginning and especially the end of this episode, it's every samurai movie you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Especially the end when she wanders into the woods.
Yeah.
Just the lone warrior, just, forever wandering.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Into the dead forest.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to that city, that small city that's it's like these Asian street vendors and things like that, and this squalid city, and then you get into the magistrate's courtyard, and it's completely different.
Yeah, yeah.
It's clean, it's beautiful, it's sculpted. It's got this koi pond. It's like just
I love the gates. The gates that they
yeah.
have in this are very, very medieval Japanese um, walled city style.
Mhm. Even up to
With
the even up to the bell.
yeah, very much a Japanese or Korean influenced bell, and the
You can tell Dave Filoni directed this
oh yeah,
because if you follow his style in this series, this is pretty much it.
yeah.
He's very he embellishes very much in the style.
I'm delighted that Filoni wrote and directed this because he
Mhm.
created Ahsoka Tano,
Right.
and
So they let him have
yeah,
her introduction.
I think he wrote the
Uh,
one with Bo-Katan too because he created her too.
yeah. Well, essentially the story is he gets to this city to deliver the kid to Ahsoka Tano.
Right, he
That
thinks
that's
he's finally done. That
mm,
he's found the Jedi that will take the kid and train him. Ahsoka offers a different path.
because
Right. She
he's
did.
too attached.
Hmm.
Um, this information dump. It's not surprising because the kid has effectively been through a Holocaust.
Yeah,
He's been through this tragedy.
the Jedi Purge. Yeah.
First of all, she's answering a lot of questions, but she's bringing up a lot more. First of all, who took him?
Right. So basically, she can communicate with him through the Force.
Hmm.
She learns his name and his history.
Its name is Grogu,
His name is Grogu. And
which
his
sounds like a monster. Which sounds like it sounds like a dim-witted giant role playing game. That's the name you would give a giant.
uh, I love his reaction every time his name is said.
Hmm?
Hmm? He just looks up. We find out
He does
that
not want to call him that.
no, well,
He does not want to call him that.
he's not used to it. It'll take him getting used to as well. I know
It's going to take me time to get used
the
to it.
internet will continue to call him Baby Yoda. Um,
Hmm. Or the kid.
yeah. So we find out that not only did the Jedi know of him pre-Clone War, they were raising him in the temple and training him,
Hmm.
and he'd been there for probably close to 30 years by the time everything kind of fell apart. Somebody spirited him out of the Jedi Temple. Uh, she did.
Kept him hidden.
Ahsoka didn't even know he was there.
Mm-mm.
You know, like,
He closed himself off.
well, no, I mean, she didn't even know he was at the temple.
But I mean,
They're
he
about the
eventually.
same age.
Right.
They would have been
But
younglings at about the same time, and she didn't know he was there.
and he effectively closed himself off.
Well, yeah, he had to
He
hide his abilities so that he didn't,
and
you
his
know.
memory.
Yeah.
I like the line. His memory goes dark after that because he's repressing it.
He feels lost, and yeah,
Right.
because who knows what happened to him in the 20 years, 25 years
How
between.
did he? I still want to know how did he end up in that little town in the first episode where we met
Well,
him.
I mean, he was probably getting tracked and transferred all over the place just because people knew about him.
Mhm.
You know, or he was a rumor that was being hunted down. I would not be surprised if Palpatine was looking for him
Right.
that whole
Well,
time.
Palpatine and Vader were looking for all of them.
Well, right, but I think
So
because he was one of Yoda's species,
mhm.
did Ahsoka not know Yaddle?
She doesn't mention
As
her,
you said,
but
I've only known one other like this, a great Jedi
maybe
Master
she
who's
didn't know
lived on.
Yaddle.
That's what I'm thinking, because I think Yaddle died somewhere in between episodes 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Um,
I don't know.
and that would have been right around when Ahsoka would have been coming to the temple. So,
Well, and we said, I think it was last week, we were talking about Yoda's species might be so rare that, it doesn't even have a name.
right,
It
or a
doesn't even
home
have a,
world, or yeah,
because they live so long and
right.
they age so slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, it's just interesting. You're sitting there and you're thinking, this is this cute little, cute little thing. And he's got all this history.
He had, well, yeah,
He's got all this history.
he's got as much history as you do.
Right,
Actually, he's got a
right,
little bit more.
right.
So he's, I mean, he's lived half a human life already,
Hmm.
and he can't even speak yet.
Right.
He's still essentially a 6-month-old in terms of humanity, like, and I love that. I like that Ahsoka just said, I can't train him. I've seen what attachment does to
Hmm.
the best Jedi I've ever seen, and I'm not
Right.
going to start this little one down that path. Like,
Mm.
okay, all right,
I'm going to let him decide his own path.
right. So she sends him to an old Jedi temple.
Typhon.
Yes, which I'm sort of familiar with, I think.
Well, the thing is, and then she says something strange. She says, set him on the rock and he'll decide his own path.
Mm-hmm.
He'll call out to the Jedi who will train him, or not at all.
If he reaches out in the Force, then a Jedi will sense him and come looking for him. If not, then I guess he's just your kid.
Who was that? Who would that Jedi be? Because there aren't many left.
There aren't. There are probably more than any of them know, because
Mhm.
they're not in communication with each other. I think she didn't even know that Obi-Wan was alive.
Mhm.
Because in the book Ahsoka, when she meets up with Bail Organa to start the Fulcrum division of Rebel intelligence,
Yeah.
it's in the book that came out, that I'm sure they're kicking themselves for because it locked them into a couple of things that they couldn't get out of.
Right.
That they still ended up changing in the Clone Wars season 7.
One thing that I want to mention, first of all, Rosario Dawson is really great.
As much as I was spouting about Ashley Eckstein, I Rosario Dawson is wonderful in the role. I
She is.
just regret that they didn't let Ashley Eckstein even just decline. Like the name actress said, I want to play this, and they gave it to her. Having
The
said
old
that,
she's
wonderful.
she's older.
Yeah.
She's older. She's there's not a lot of information within the series about her. She doesn't give any personal information
Right.
because we don't need it. We've already been there.
Mm-hmm.
If you have followed the Clone Wars, particularly the last 4 episodes, you know where she went. You know who she is. You know what she's dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't need a lot of information.
Right.
And the end of this episode seemed to tie this character up for this series it didn't give you a lot of information except for one thing. Except for one thing. There's a mention of Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Yes.
which leaves the door open. It's like, where's this going?
Well, it leaves the door open for Sabine,
Mm,
because this now shows that she is currently working with Sabine to find Ezra.
mm,
Um, that she's already met up, and that's what she's doing, which is awesome. Because first of all, we might get to see Grand Admiral Thrawn at some point in the live action Star Wars universe.
and Ezra and Sabine.
And Ezra and Sabine. I'm thinking Sabine might show up in this season.
Mm,
I know, well, I have a feeling we will see Bo-Katan and Ahsoka in the finale.
yeah.
It'll be hard. They'll be hard pressed to not bring Ahsoka back.
Can I just say, I don't know where this is going because it's great the way Disney's handling this because, again, we've said this before, I'm happy with the way they're handling this because they don't give you a lot of information about what's going on other than what you know in the series. There's not a lot of advertising. There's not a lot of next time on The Mandalorian. There's none of that.
I do like that there's no sizzle reel for the next week ever.
Right.
I love
Right.
that every time you walk into an episode, you have no idea. You don't even know what it's titled until it comes up on the screen.
I guessed this one.
Wow.
I correctly guessed this one, but this is the only one I've been able to guess.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, because you kind of knew where it was going. But yeah, I like going in every Friday morning and it's just cold.
Yeah.
And I just sit there and I don't know. You look at the description even on the screen
Oh,
when
it
you
doesn't-
pull it up. It doesn't tell you anything.
It gives you the barest
Mm,
of descriptions as to what might end up happening, but it only really tells you the setup so you know what's happening in the first 2 minutes of the of the episode.
Right. Right.
The rest of it is completely a surprise, and I think that the way that they're handling this is so unique in our modern film world. Like,
mm,
most of the time, regardless of the movie, you're walking in and you know something about it, if
mhm.
not everything from the trailer, and you find out, oh, well, this movie is basically just the trailer with long stretches of connective dullness. But
Right.
we don't get that here. And I love, this is exactly what you feel when you walk into a theater to see a Star Wars movie.
Or want to feel.
Or want to feel, yes, every week.
Yeah.
And I love that they've made the second season, the episodes longer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I always feel like, it's like Friday morning. I know I'm going to get something good.
yeah.
I know I'm going to get something. I've not seen a bad episode of this show.
Mm-mm.
I've not seen an episode that I was questioning. Um,
They're very economical by only
Yeah,
doing
and
8 episodes.
and if you see that gallery documentary that's on Disney Plus,
Mhm.
you understand why it turned out the way it did.
Yeah.
It's an 8-part documentary series, kind of like you would see on a DVD.
Yeah.
Where they talk about how they built it, who built it, and where the influences came from.
Mm-hmm. I've seen the first
And they're from
episode
people
of
who
that.
care about this series. But one thing about this episode in particular is there's an upending of Din Djarin's perception
Mm-hmm.
of who he is, because 2 episodes ago he had to accept that there are other factions.
Yeah.
of the Mandalorian. This is the way, but this is not the only way.
Right.
Here, it's a perception of the Jedi as enemies.
Well, yeah, he didn't know anything about them,
Right.
which is a
He'd
little
never heard of them.
right, which is odd, but because he was, alive and a victim of the Clone Wars.
Right.
Um, but you also get the impression that a lot of his life before he got rescued has been suppressed, like he doesn't remember because it's
You remember that super battle droid?
how could you forget that? But that was
Super battle droids.
yeah, that was the
Super
moment
battle
that-
droid. Yeah.
that
Super
was-
battle droids, or as I call them, Buzz Lightyear reimagined by Skynet.
Oh no, they're what his villain? I can't
Yeah.
remember. Zog.
Zog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Zurg.
Zurg. There we go.
Yeah.
Like he was told that they were enemies, and he was confused by it, but he eventually found that there was nothing to be. I love the introduction between the two of them.
Mhm.
She just comes down and attacks him, and fortunately he's got Beskar.
Yeah.
Which stops lightsabers, and
Mhm.
I just love that.
That's weird.
That's why they developed it, because they're enemies
Yeah.
of the Jedi.
Mhm.
They also developed Teras Kasi, which
Yeah.
is an anti-Jedi martial art that
Mhm.
that Kira uses in Solo.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a whole lot.
Can we talk about this? Can we talk about this magistrate? They developed this magistrate as this horror. I mean,
She doesn't
Just-
care about the citizens in her town, that she is the magistrate.
she says this.
She is there to be in charge of and protect these townspeople, and she's like, I don't care about them.
I don't care about them.
Well, then why are you
You
here?
know, It's this squalid little town. This squalid little town that's just going to crap, and then you cross over through the gates in her little courtyard, and it's this sculpted, beautiful kind of. It's kind of like a drug lord, south of the border. You go down there, and it's just dust and dirt and rocks, and then you cross into his villa, and it's beautiful.
I was actually going to
You know.
say it's more like a slumlord.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was really great seeing Michael Biehn.
Yeah.
But I would like for him to have had more to do. He's just kind of playing he's just kind of playing the lunk, and then he gets killed.
Yeah.
But-
I thought I liked that. I liked the idea that he was basically just standing there going, I don't even need this job. He
Yeah.
was gonna walk away.
And they're listening to it happen.
Right, and they can tell who's ahead and who's not, and they hear the spear fall. It's like, well, I guess you won.
Yeah, sure.
And he's like, you know what? We would lay down our lives for the right cause.
Mhm.
But this isn't it.
But this isn't it.
He's gonna walk away, but then he stupidly tries to pull a piece, and
Yeah,
Mando just.
yeah. And it's who takes Beskar and just turns it into a spear. That's just
Apparently
he got
her.
Beskar. He just
Well, if you know how to fight with a spear, you've got some pretty good defense, as long as they don't have a
Yeah.
blaster.
This was such a good
It was
episode.
really good. It was really good. I loved that. I loved the connection that she immediately had with Grogu. My favorite line is, "I was sent by Bo-Katan. We need to talk." I hope it's about him. Oh.
What else would you have to talk about?
Well, that would be the clever part. It's like, no, I'm not here for him at all. We got something else to talk about. Oh no, we're talking about
And
pointing.
again, I would say what this character could have been just the dog.
Yeah.
Just all reaction shots and no plot. But it's interesting how much story they're managing to get into this kid, how
Mm-hmm.
much history and how much, just having a name, for
Yeah.
heaven's sake.
Yeah. And
And
knowing that he really is looking at Mando Jinjarin. I don't call him by his name because he said he hadn't even heard it since he put the helmet on. So I just don't even regard it as anything.
Mando.
Yeah, Mando. Uh, I well, I got sidetracked. Anyway, I like that Grogu feels that Mando's like his father. He's
Well, at this
really
point, he kind of
well,
is.
yeah. Well, I love the opening. Well, the beginning with Mando and Grogu, when he's just sitting there and he's like, "Well, here's the place. This is where we were looking for.
Mhm,
I'm gonna start the landing cycle. Why don't you go on and get back in your seat?"
mhm.
You heard me.
Yeah.
Get in your seat, and he gets down and he crawls back up and he wants the little ball and he gets it. Uh,
Whatever Grogu wants, Grogu gets.
yeah. Well, those cookies were definitely part of that
My thing is,
mantra.
he has to wash that little monk robe eventually.
Well, he had to have
And
the
I'm
last
thinking,
time because he threw up on
he spit up on it.
it.
But that's just really interesting. It's like you think of all the fatherly things that he has to do.
Hmm.
Has to change him, has to clean his monk robe, has to do all those,
He's got some onboard
all those
maintenance he
nursing
needs to
things.
take care of.
Yeah, yeah. But I can't say enough about this episode. I really,
No, this was wonderful, and I'm excited and looking forward to Ahsoka coming back.
and again, no idea where it's going.
No idea. Rosario Dawson was wonderful in the role.
Hmm.
I'm sorry that I keep trying to put a wet blanket on it. There's very little to complain about other than,
Hmm.
oh, the person that I think should have been cast wasn't cast. Other than
She does a
that,
great job.
everything is perfect. It's-
It's the best samurai movie I've seen in a while.
well, I think I watch more of them than you do. But it's a great samurai film. Uh,
Hmm.
the tone is great. The climactic battle, like everything dealing with Ahsoka, is perfectly handled. Uh,
It is.
she is excellent in the physicality of the role.
Mhm.
It was everything that I had hoped for.
Right.
And I can't wait for next week, but I almost want to because there's only 3 episodes left.
Right.
And
Well, I'm ready to get to the finale. I want to see where this is going.
yeah, but I don't want to get there because then that means we have to wait a whole other year for
Yeah,
more of
I know.
it. But that's oh, one last thing.
Mhm.
So at the end of the fight between Ahsoka and the magistrate, Ahsoka gets up to her and she goes, "Now tell me what I want. Where's your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" And I freaked out. Um, and then the second time I'm watching it with my wife and my son last night. I watched it in the morning
Yeah.
by myself, and then I watched it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and my wife turns to me and goes, well, apparently your dogs don't know who Grand Admiral Thrawn is either. These are the breaks of recording at home, folks.
Well, my thing is when she got to when she got to Grand Admiral Thrawn, I'm still working on Grogu. By the time she gets there, I'm still. Sorry about my dogs,
Knowing
folks.
that his name is Grogu did not throw me as much as it threw you.
It threw me a little bit because
Uh,
I'm looking at him trying to fit him with Grogu. I think after 24 hours, it's kind of settled in now. But
I was fine with it right at the start because I didn't know what his name was, and now I know. I was happy with that.
it sounds like a Star Wars name. It sounds like
Oh
one of
yeah.
those little. It sounds like one of those hapless little bounty hunters that was looking for. Was trying to bring Han Solo back to Jabba the Hutt,
Right.
and it just got cut down in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But
But
um,
so my wife is like, who's that? Who's Grand Admiral Thrawn? And I had to explain. I was like, okay, well, he's blue with red eyes from the unknown regions.
and he's a Grand Admiral.
Greatest military genius of the Empire. And then I had to
Art
explain.
collector.
Then I had to explain to her what happened at the end of Rebels, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to be easier if we just watch. It's just she
Well,
hasn't
and
seen.
I'm thinking, here's the funny thing. I think this is the only character. This is maybe the only character in this continuity that's carried over from the Legends, quote unquote, because this character was introduced in Heir to the Empire.
Right in 1991.
Right.
Like the
And
character
it's
of Grand Admiral Thrawn predates uh, the prequel trilogy.
and where he was in the beginning of Heir to the Empire is in the point in time that we are in now, 5 years after
Right,
Empire, or
right,
5 years after Jedi.
right, right.
So it's interesting. It's like that's the character they kept.
Yeah,
Um, that's the character they allowed to cross over
I
from.
I
Now there are probably others,
I
but
think it's going to be interesting. There are a lot of Legends things that are being brought into canon via the animated series and now this.
yeah.
Thrawn will be the first one to come from Legends, get
Mhm,
translated into animation, and if he gets
mhm,
translated into live action, he'll be the first one to go from Legends to animation to live action.
mhm.
And
It's just such a cool
I
character,
think
though.
he's the only one that they've done that for in general. There are other aspects and other mentions of things that were in Legends that have been
Mhm,
canonized, uh,
mhm.
like the blurgs and
Yeah.
the
Well, Blurgs came from the Ewoks,
right, but it was still
the Ewok
Legends,
special.
still Legends,
Yeah.
you know. And Life Day, of course.
Yeah.
Did you watch the holiday special, the Lego holiday
I
special?
did.
Oh my
I
gosh, it
did.
is
That was
so much
cute.
fun.
That was fun.
It was adorable, and that little bit when they meet up with Kylo Ren after he kills Snoke, he's like, "Well,
Hmm.
I find out that he throws me into a pit. Are you gonna throw me into a pit?" And he goes, mm, "Not a pit, no, nah, not a pit."
It's so cute. It's like this cute little parody, you
It
know.
is. I love the Star Wars Lego stuff. It is all
Yeah.
hilarious, and it's so much fun to like take yourself out of the canon to watch
Hmm.
these silly little things happen. It's a lot of they're a lot of fun.
I love the. There's one where Qui-Gon Jinn is going to train Anakin, and behind him are a bunch of signs that say "warning." They're all warning signs. You can't see the warning signs, and they're all warning signs behind him.
Yeah, it would have. They could have done one up on that and had a follow up joke and just had red flags all around him while he was looking at him
Yeah,
and not him
yeah.
not seeing. I don't understand what you're saying.
I don't know what you'll say. All right,
Oh,
that's all I got.
this is a great episode. This is a great season. This is a great show.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
Mando's really chalking up to end up being one of those that winds up on the greatest television series of all times list.
Well, it's bringing Star Wars back to where it needs to be.
Right.
Because sometimes they make things that don't actually feel like they take place in Star Wars. Um, a lot of Rise of Skywalker didn't feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Um, the prequels, a lot of times didn't feel like Star Wars. Rogue One felt like Star
Rogue
Wars.
One. Solo.
Rebels felt like Star
Rebels
Wars.
felt like Star Wars.
Solo sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Anyway,
Oh, well. That's all I got. Uh,
we'll see you next week.
Yep, you can find all of our episodes, our full-length episodes, and our Mando Minis at thepodvaydorspodcast.wordpress.com. You can listen to us on iTunes and YouTube. Hit the like, subscribe, and engage notifications. You can find us on Twitter at pod_bay, Patreon as well. We thank you so very much for joining us, and the Pod Bay doors are now closed.
The mission has been completed.